Hey guys, Carlzor here. This is another one for the physics game, physics simulation lovers out there. As you can see, this is another little program with typical falling sand type elements that react in different ways to each other. The interesting thing about this is the air currents. This is called Powder Game on a website called Danball. There's a lot of other games on this site too, so I'll link to the Powder Game and you guys can check out the other stuff from here. I was just going to show you a little bit about this. Air currents and air pressure are very important in this program. They're key focuses of what makes this different than other physics simulations. And I'll show you an example. This is block right here. This is an unreactable, unchangeable, I mean you can erase it, but nothing reacts to it, nothing blows it up or anything like that. And basically you want to use this as your permanent walls in your simulation. And what I'm doing right now is I'm filling it up with air. Bigger the pen size, which is what I just changed there. Bigger pen size means more air. The brown lines are indicating the direction of the air and the speed that it's traveling at. But it's all staying inside of this little box here. And as you can see, this area turned to blue and this turned to green. This means that this area has relatively high air pressure. This area has comparatively low air pressure. What makes that interesting is that when the pressure is released, the pressure will always move from high pressure to low pressure, just like in real life. So we want to create a teeny tiny little brush here and erase, and now we have all the air pressure leaking out of this little container and blasting out into the room, and eventually these pressures will equalize as this happens. The opposite is also possible. You can draw a little box, bigger pen size, you can draw a little box and put a whole bunch of air on the outside, and it'll be hard to make this entire area turn greenish color, but you'll see almost immediately that the inside of the box over there begins to turn blue, which of course means relatively low pressure. And you'll see that these air currents, as they move and as the pressure moves, creates like an actual vacuum effect. I'll demonstrate this by making a little bit of powder floating around out here, and then I will erase a little section of this container again. Oops. And you can see the powder gets sucked in by the moving air currents, which is pretty cool. That's one of the more fun things to play with in this thing. It's what sets it apart from all the other similar physics applications out there. This one is in Java, and it has to be run from this website, which is a little bit disappointing, but I think you'll still find it interesting to play with. There are also a couple of other interesting little things, like these little fighters that bounce around and kick at each other. And these guys can be kind of fun for little scenarios if you want to goof around with the program a little bit. You can create like a little rock and then fill up the sides with magma and put a couple of these little fighters up here and see which one either jumps off into the lava or gets kicked off into the lava first. Ooh, that was close. Oh, and then he decided to just commit suicide because he was dishonored or something. I don't know. Anywho, there's also a player that you can control with the keyboard, and if you select one of these elements with the right mouse button first, then you can use that player character in order to shoot that element. So place him, and now he shoots lasers. And he can also kill himself with his own lasers. Anywho, there we go. Laser shooting guy that's not managing to kill himself. And that's interesting for creating little puzzles for other people to solve, because you can save your content in this game, and you can also load other people's content in order to play other people's puzzles or see simulations that other people have set up that they thought were interesting or whatnot. You can have two things assigned to your mouse at the same time, a right click and a left click, and or actually I said that backwards, a left click and a right click. And some things actually have a different effect whether they're set to left or right. Right now I have air set to both, and if I left click it pushes everything away and it creates air pressure. If I oh, there we go. If I right click, it sucks everything towards the mouse and it eliminates air pressure if I had different chambers on the screen that could determine whether there was pressure or not. You can also erase the borders of the map, all of them or some of them, and allow things to drain off the edges. This also allows air pressure to come in or leave if the pressure of the entire board is either too high or too low, comparatively speaking to the neutral air pressure outside of the playing field. One of the things you also want to do is you want to change this dot option to L while you're playing, because it allows you to have the most stuff on the screen. If it's set to S, it'll only allow you to have very little amount of materials on the screen. But if you have a fast computer, I recommend setting this up to at least M or L. There's a lot of other stuff to play with in here, and I'll leave a lot of it up to you guys. But I mean, there's all kinds of interactions here. There's like seeds, and when they touch when they touch the when seeds touch the powder, they grow these little brown tendril sort of things, supposed to be like plant matter or whatever. Sometimes it's good to like mix stuff like that up so that it can react freely with everything around it. Then there's vine, and when vine is made, then any like powder or water that touches the vine creates more vine. The reason everything's all floaty and wiggly around is because I was playing with the air. The currents are still going on, even if the little brown lines that indicate the motion and direction are invisible. The air is still moving somewhat. It'll take a little while to settle down. Fire also creates air direction because heat rises, of course, so it creates upward air current, and it also burns stuff. And the interesting thing here is that the plants are going to keep on growing, and the fire is going to keep on burning, so I just kind of created like an endless chaos here. That's one of the reasons why I find this game so interesting to play with, is just because there's so many different things that you can do with it. And a lot of it's just creating a very chaotic scene and just watching all the air currents move and watching all of that stuff happen, and meanwhile like adding to the chaos, throw in some bombs that well, didn't really do anything in this case, but infect a material with a virus, which usually just ends up spreading that material around the map and moving it slightly. The effects of the virus are a little bit unpredictable sometimes. It's pretty much impossible to hurt the virus material though, so it usually allows whatever material it infected to kind of dominate the map. But of course then the fire kicks in and burns all of that away. Just saying all of that to give you an example of all the crazy stuff that'll happen in this. And now, I mean, the screen is just a mess with stuff. But anyway, there's not much else I can say about this game. You guys are just going to have to check the link down below, click on it, come here and play it yourself. And over on the sidebar of this guy's website, there's a list of other stuff that he's made. And this powder game actually isn't the most popular. There's some other games that I might get into in future videos, like Stick Ranger and stuff like that, that are like just as awesome or even more awesome to play with than this. So come to the site, play it, enjoy it. Tell me what you guys think. If you've already heard of it, good. If not, then I'm glad that I was able to inform you of this interesting little thing. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you soon. Later.